Hi everyone, welcome to Values. So today we're looking at memory stocks, and these two companies just confirm what I believe. Like Sandisk and Seagate just recently reported, and their guidance is just phenomenal. Like it just blows everything out of the water. If you are in stock investing, what you used to see in companies, this is just on another level. But we haven't seen this type of performance since Nvidia, really. So Nvidia, in terms of AI, is in a sense exhausted in terms of valuations, and in short supply because there's many suppliers coming in. But now we're looking at the memory side of things, and there is a massive short supply in this, so we're kind of seeing these stocks perform supremely well. Like we've got Sandisk in the after hours after reporting results up 16.5%. So how good was the result? It was phenomenal. Revenue was $3 billion for the quarter, and they made $800 million out of it. That's strong margins. So if you look at the per share value, it's basically for the non-GAAP it's $6.20. And if you look at their guidance, they're actually going to go to $12 to $14. So basically, they're going to more than double what they're going to be making in terms of net profits. So easy estimate is just double the 800 million. So that's about 1.6 billion and potentially higher. I'd actually go after higher number. Like if they've given that number and given the pricing, I don't think the pricing is coming down. Given the current shortage, so all the big massive AI data centers, they want to all hoard all the stuff to themselves, so they're going to give the best pricing, and they're just going to continue to outbid each other. Assuming Sandisk doesn't sign long-term contracts and just basically fix all the pricing on all one pricing, it's okay if it's flexible pricing. But at the end of the day, we don't know. But looking at just the guidance itself is crazy. So, so for this company, just a quarter, go from 800 million to 1.6 or higher. Yeah, that's a massive profit. So as you can see, kind of, their revenue goes from 3 billion to a forecast of 4.4 to 4.8, so that's about a 50% increase in their revenue, but more than double in terms of net profit. So you can kind of see those margins start to come through very strongly as they increase in their revenue, because it's the same stuff, just better pricing, so that so everything that comes in higher pricing just translates to the bottom line. So I think there's a lot of, people kind of sitting on the sidelines, reluctant to kind of, buy too much or recognize a higher price, because everyone's thinking, oh, this is the shortage, it's gonna just be temporary, and potentially that could be true, but we're not getting any increase in supply until next year. Micron was saying about their earliest would be middle of next year, so and this basically it continues, because these AI data centers are not, they're not standing still. They'll continue to upgrade what they have, and then they'll continue to expand, and over time there's more players that are coming in, and the supply isn't really increasing fast enough, so this could last many years. We just don't know, and that's the risk of investing, obviously. But you can see these guys are just printing and printing and printing. And yeah, like basically they could just earn a large percentage of their company value back in cash, and they're just going to continue to build and build and build. I'll give you, like, Micron is a really good example. Like I find this one to be by far the most undervalued compared to these other stocks, but at the end of everything, it's all debatable. But like, so these guys don't report their financial results to March, so I think that's why the stock isn't moving as quick as like Sandisk. Like Sandisk, in the last 5 days, it's up 7%. In the last month, it's up 120%. So Sandisk is about 9% in the last 5 days, 48% in the last month. And then if we go to 6 months, 289, so not too shabby, but from Sandisk, 1156%, so you can kind of see the massive difference. You're getting currently, not including after hours, is 79 billion valuation, but like you've got Micron that just easily just sort of earns 10 times the profit, but not trading at 10 times the value, if you get what I mean. And you could kind of look at it and it's like, is it the growth rates? No, actually Micron's also growing at a even faster rate, which is crazy as well. So at 490, and this one's 790. So like if they're only 10 times, and you know, it's simple math would be like 10 times the value for 790. But that are far from 790, right? So you kind of get where this disparity in value is. We're looking at Seagate. Seagate's not as kind of high potential, but the share price has done fairly well as well. 28% in the last 5 days, 58% in the last month, and 192%. So like if you look at their result, it's definitely not as good as Sandisk. So basically they went from 2.3 billion to 2.8 billion for their quarter, and their net income was still pretty good, so it's 593 million compared to the prior year of 336. So you're looking at Seagate, who is valued a bit more higher than Sandisk at 97 million. So you got Seagate 97 million, Sandisk 79. So revenue wise, Sandisk is 3 billion versus 2.8, and they're just doing slightly less than 600, whereas Sandisk is doing 800. And the guidance is going to blow that out of the water. And if we look at Seagate expects around 2.9 billion, so not a significantly larger increase than the recent reported quarter. It's plus or minus 100 million. And then basically they're expecting earnings per share to be about 340. So 340, where does that put us at? So recent earnings per share was 311, so roughly similar. It's possibly like 10% on top of this, so maybe like 660 or something like that, so even a lot less. So you can see the numbers that Seagate is nowhere growing anywhere as fast as Sandisk in terms of revenues, in terms of margins. So but they're actually worth more. So that's the crazy thing about the stock market, that it's worth more. So I do expect Sandisk to increase much more than Seagate. It's like $1,000 share price is very realistic, and it's probably just a matter of time. Seagate, I think their share price is probably maybe round about here, like unless they start to prove more significant kind of growth rates and guidances. I don't see them being worth significantly more than they are right now. Whereas for Sandisk, I think they're definitely meriting that title with their recent guidance. And Micron Technology, who is, as I kind of think, in my opinion, they're significantly undervalued, even to Sandisk. So if Sandisk is undervalued compared to Seagate, and Micron Technology is undervalued compared to Sandisk, you kind of get the picture. Though the valuation is much more lofty, it's $490 billion. So if we jump to this part here, this is a comparison between Sandisk and Micron Technology. And basically, this is the recent quarter that Sandisk just reported, and Micron reported this back in December. This was for end of November, whereas Sandisk's result is 2 months ahead of that. Which, given the timing basis and the pricing, it's actually it makes a massive difference. So in terms of Micron Technology, their guidance is about $18 billion when they report in March. So you can kind of get the idea that Revenue wise, Micron will do about 5 times. So 5 times 3, actually 6 times. Actually, six times 3 is 18 billion. So Micron is doing 6 times more. And when it comes to net profit, Micron's probably gonna do about 9 billion in profit. So actually, Micron is actually gonna do. They're gonna more than 10 times what Sandisk makes in net income. So you get what I mean? Like, their net profit is significantly high, over 10 times. Their revenue is also 6 times. So hence why I kind of feel like Micron is very, very undervalued. And in doing all that, it kind of gives them opportunities as well. So they recently reported that they're going to spend $24 billion over 10 years in Singapore, creating extra facilities to expand their kind of inventory. And even prior before that, this was January 17th, they were going to produce about $1.8 billion. Not produce, they're going to buy another facility for $1.8 billion. So you get the picture that Micron is really splashing the cash in terms of trying to expand their current supply, because the pricing is so good, that like they're all about just going out there and just, they see the pricing and no one can believe this is real, but it's very, very real, and you see it by the numbers. And Sandisk, the more we talk, the more the share price is just increasing. $631. Talk about crazy. But it's got the potential to just continue to increase as we go. Given Micron's guidance, they should easily be up there in terms of matching that or even higher. This is also a stock that should easily go past $1,000 this year. I think getting closer to March, when they report their result, I think that's when people start to realize the share price. There's a lot of analysts that are talking about Micron. It kind of just baffles me why this one's kind of not getting as much recognition as like Sandisk. Of course, like Micron does do 2 types of the memory. They do, they do the DRAM, and they do the NAND, whereas Sandisk just really mainly does the NAND. So Micron probably has more of a diversified product kind of portfolio in some sense, which you'd probably perceive as less risk. But I think people are looking at that $490 billion kind of value, and they're kind of going, oh, how much can that behemoth increase compared to like Sandisk, which is, smaller valuation, easier chance to get higher in some sense, but not necessarily. That's just, how people think sometimes. But I'm not saying everyone thinks like that, but potentially that is one of the stumbling blocks when it comes to recognizing a higher share price. But even then, it's like $631. Share price is at a very high point in the current sense. But compared to the next quarter guidance, that blows it out of the water. So I think the share price going to the next, over the next 3 months will probably trend close to that $1,000 price tag, if not even higher. And I'd say the same thing of Micron Technology. Given how good the business is, you kind of expect things might be going that way. Of course, nothing's in a sense always guaranteed. And I think people will always just continue to really monitor the situation and go, is the supply going to at any point change? Is the pricing going to change at any point? And probably not. Now, I'm looking at the prices that I'm paying for memory. Pricing is just crazy. But that's reality. Like, you go to your local computer shop and you look at the pricing, you won't believe how expensive it is, especially if you've been watching these computer parts and you're going, how did memory jump so high? And the thing is, you're still probably going to buy it anyway. If you want to upgrade your computer, you're going to need it. And these guys are not worried whether you buy off them or not, they're just going to sell to data centers as much as they have. And yeah, like, that's the crazy thing. It's a shortage, and all these guys are just going to make a lot of money, particularly Sandisk and Micron Technology. Seagate, I think, is okay, like, it's growing, but nowhere near how fast these two are growing. And that's kind of my comparison between the three. That are, in terms of value, I'd say Micron Technology offers the most value in terms of upside for the share price, where their financials are as well. Then Sandisk, then Seagate. If anything, I think Micron has a higher potential as well, because their recent guidance was made back in December, so it's kind of lagging. Whereas Sandisk is making their guidance at the end of January, so they're kind of seeing much higher pricing and things. Hence, why they're kind of they look a little better in that sense because of their much more bullish and higher guidance. But I think when Micron gives their guidance, that's just going to be an even crazier guidance. That you look at the current value and you're just gonna think, like, these stocks are in a sense cheap, even though they've gone up so much. Compared to what they're bringing in, it's fairly cheap in that sense. But yeah, give me, tell me what your thoughts are, or if you've got any questions, post below. Until then, good luck investing, everyone.